Attack surface reduction rules are one of my favorite features within Defender. As a security practitioner, it can be a bit of a curse understanding just how many ways threat actors can exploit an environment. A lot of traditional security solutions look at hardening the perimeters of an organization, but lack effective internal controls. Unfortunately, exploits happen. People fall victim to phishing emails, they download malicious content. Threat actors get extremely clever at trying to find ways to subvert products like Defender and to bypass their detections and threat intelligence data. Microsoft has plugged this gap by enforcing attack surface reduction rules that allow us to target particular software behaviors that are commonly exploited. There have been a few times where I've been called into an incident where if ASR rules had been enforced, the incident would have been completely prevented. In this demonstration, I'll walk through how to set up ASR rules. I'll also give a bit of an example of what the end users see when an ASR rule is triggered, and what the admins see from the perspective of Defender when investigating these incidents. Setting up attack surface reduction rules is fairly easy. There are multiple ways to do it, but I'll be giving a quick summary on the method via Intune, as I think it represents the information in a much more digestible format. There are a few prerequisites that are required, which you can find listed in the Microsoft documentation, alongside requiring the Defender for Business licensing. Providing that Defender is configured and deployed, we can hop into Endpoint Security within the Intune portal and click on Attack Surface Reduction. We can create an Attack Surface Reduction policy, select our platforms, select the profile we want to apply, which is the reduction rules. From there, we can give our policy a name, add the configuration settings. So which rules do we want to configure within Defender for ASR to react? There are a variety of different configuration settings that you can apply. Block will prevent an action entirely with no interaction from a user. Audit will allow all activity, but provide metrics on how often a block would have been triggered. And Warn will provide a toaster notification informing the user that the activity is dangerous and do they really want to proceed. Alongside each of the rules, Microsoft gives you a quick summary of what the rule does, as well as providing a link to the Microsoft Learn documentation where you can find out more about the attack surface reduction rules as a whole and also the impact that each individual rule might have if it's switched on in your organization. Once you're happy with the configuration settings, you can apply a scope. For example, if you wanted to exclude some devices or groups from it, you are perfectly able to. In this instance, we want it to apply to all the devices we have in our environment. You can save the policy, and once done, it should deploy to all of your devices within about an hour. Now we'll hop across into our test environment where I will abuse our poor demo VM, trigger some exploits, and I'll show you just what ASR is capable of and what a user would see. Now I've just opened a macro-enabled Word file. For those of you that don't know, macros can be commonly exploited by threat actors. It's a nice way of running automated tasks simply by opening a Word document. Very useful for phishing. Now we've got our security warning. We've had the content block pop up, but because it's in Warn, it allows me to unblock if I like. So if I click unblock, it allows me to continue using the document and won't remove it. I can now enable the content and lo and behold, the content has again been blocked because cmd.exe running in the background was deemed to be suspicious. Now opening up my test folder on the desktop, I've got a zipped file that contains a PowerShell script. This PowerShell script is a payload for the meterpreter reflected injection attack. We can see here Defender's blocked the activity outright with no option to unblock it. This is ASR in block mode. You can open up the virus and threat protection pane, see a little bit more about the file that's been blocked and the detection, and request to quarantine, remove, or allow it on the device. Hopping into the Microsoft Defender portal now, we can click into Incidents and we can have a look at the activity that's just been blocked. Under Meterpreter Post-Exploitation tool, we can click into the alert itself. The alert story gives us a step-by-step breakdown of any relevant activities that have occurred regarding this alert. Here we can see that Defender has picked up on the activity of me opening the macro-enabled Word files and flagged it as suspicious and potentially part of this activity. At the bottom here, we've got our PowerShell script and the fact that Defender has detected and quarantined the file and flagged it as the Trojan dropper plotty.c. If we wanted to, we could open the file page or download the file and detonate it in a sandbox environment for further investigation. The file pane gives us an understanding of the file's metadata, the file path it was presented in, file hash, whether it's signed or not, and any activity observed for that file within your environment. Finally, we can review any ASR blocks or actions within the device timeline itself. Here we can see the block office applications from creating child processes rule was triggered. We can see why it was triggered, when, what happened, any associated processes or points of concern, and any actions that Defender would take. Again, we've got another one down here for credential stealing using lsas.exe. You can set up custom alerting or custom action off the back of these alerts being generated within the timeline, but also really good for going back and auditing any activity as it occurs. And that's it, a comprehensive look at attack surface reduction.